Good evening. Would you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here, roll call, please.
Absolutely. Rich Moreno.
Here.
Bob Beers. Not here yet?
Not on.
Is he joining us this evening via phone?
Very well. Could.
Okay. Brendan Lane. Here. Mark Hesiak. Not here this evening. Dr. Geis.
Here.
Dr. Anthony. Not here this evening. Matt Bowers.
Here.
And Mr. Marcuses.
Here.
We have 5 board members who take the floor.
Thank you. And we also have our attorney, Kara Hendricks, from the law firm GT Greenberg Tarek. Okay, so item 3, approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any comments about the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve it?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 4, public comment. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to make a public comment at this time? We ask with such a large group that we be limited to 3 minutes. See?
We had 2 individuals that wanted to address the board at this first comment.
Okay. And
Mr. Aiken.
Copy of one for each board member. So that once I get 3 minutes, it's kind of okay. I'd like to address the elephant in the room. We believe a lot of people are here because of the change in the employment of Mr. Peterson. But what has happened with that sudden change of employment is it made a lot of teachers think, and they've wondered about the communication between the board and the school. That's what they're wondering the most about. They're wondering if a lot of items haven't been, for instance, pre-decided. And their transparency, Some items, for instance, originally it was said there was a leave of absence, now it said Mr. Peterson. And I believe this will probably be addressed tonight. But the way that it's presented to the teachers in particular, I'm speaking for approximately 15 teachers so that you don't have to hear all 15. Okay. Secondly, new school site plan. I hope is there something coming on this agenda, I hope. We felt that that was kind of presented to us very quickly, and we haven't heard again. And we want transparency on that, the finances, etc. Thirdly, the sudden decision to move students to more students per classroom. On the day that was presented to us, it was said this is one of several ideas to try to increase the finances. I understand finances. I sat on the board for Coral Academy, the developing board for Coral Academy, in the first 4 years of Coral Academy. So I understand there are a lot of items there. Technically, you can't say, for instance, contractual, etc. But it was really nice to hear that. And then we thought maybe a week or two that decision would be made. Within hours, that decision was made. And it was put into effect. So that made us feel that maybe the decision had already been made. And rather presenting to us as a set of options, it was just put that way. And the decision had already been made. A lot of us felt that way. Right now, if you look on the records, and maybe the attorney can help us with this, it seems to be there's a lawsuit against us for non-payment of our lease. It's still open in court. We'd like to hear about that. We'd like to know if we're behind on lease payments. We'd like to know, our financials there. And therefore, how about all the other bills that the school's paying? Are we behind on bills? What's our full financial status? When we get a report online, we're wondering about the line-by-line items that are not confidential. Can we see the line-by-line items? What are we using for the money for? Now, this is a thankless position, and I thank all of you for it. You don't get paid, you use your own time. I understand from having been there before. But there are 3 members that rarely attend. And 3 members rarely attend should they be on the board. I understand you can't attend many times, and many of these are people who are in public service, and I understand they're very busy. Secondly, when you put a new board together, a founding board together, I believe the charter says that you need to rotate members. Have you had an election this year? I didn't notice that in the minutes, and again, that's my fault. But if we've had an election, it needs to be announced. We need to take applicants. You need to have those applicants speak. Mr. Beers, probably. Please.
Go ahead.
Okay. Why is there only one public or one parent on the board? The board charter says they're supposed to be 2. Please look at it. Also, you recommended to have up to 11 to 13 members. I know that gets very cumbersome and finding enough people that are dedicated, but that helps to make a quorum larger than 5. Now, please look at this as from experience. If we only had 5 on our board, it only took 3 people to make a decision for 9 members on the board. 5 more seconds. So, also, are the board members supposed to have attended the Marine Charter School Initiative training? I think that was part of being on the board, and nobody has. And we're wondering about that because that's our charter, is to go through Marine. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Very good comments. Very constructive. Is there any?
Joan is the other one that's speaking this evening.
Well, I'm Joan Ayton, Dr. Ayton's wife. And so I'm standing up here so he can do his 3 minutes, and I'm going to follow with his closing statement. So these are not my words. These are his words.
Very industrious.
It's called Meeting the System. This set of concerns that he just presented in no way is connected to the rehiring of Mrs. Levitt. Indeed, the teachers feel she is a tremendous asset, and they're very lucky to have her. This in no way will deter teachers from doing their best for the students in and out of the classroom. The Founders Academy goal is to have a classical, liberal education. Pillars such as integrity, respect, cooperation, responsibility, and honesty are to be taught to the students. The best form of teaching is modeling these behaviors. Is the board modeling these behaviors to the school community? The board members may feel they have modeled this behavior. However, perception is reality. If a significant number of your teachers, lay staff, administration, and/or parents feel there is a lack of communication or transparency, then the answer is no. Effective communication is not occurring. This comment period is too short for recommendations. Dr. Ayton, personally and with the help of others, will try to build a list of recommendations that could alleviate fears, stop insinuations, prevent innuendos, and stop the inevitable gossip mill through electronics. He will submit this to the employees and the board as soon as possible. Until that time, please try to examine these perceived deficiencies, address them at board meetings, over-communicate to all of the Founders community, and don't take this as a negative. It's meant to help. This is all to help keep Founders Academy stay afloat and thrive. After all, our goal is for Founders Academy to continue to provide an excellent education for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5, approval of the meeting minutes from November 1st. Do we have any comments on the agenda items? Do I have a motion to approve? I'm sorry, I'm not agenda items, the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Brenda Ford, second.
Seconded by Brenda Flank. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item number 6, review of resignation of Mr. Peterson and consideration of severance package for possible action. I just want to say up front, I understand the frustrations of everybody involved. It took some time to work out the particulars as far as the severance package was concerned, and we regret that we weren't able to get this done in a timely fashion, and so for that we apologize. See?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as we consider the matter tonight, we know that Mr. Peterson has tendered his resignation. I think that it was resolved satisfactorily, to my understanding, from both parties, the board and Mr. Peterson. We've taken the adequate amount of time to be thorough and thoughtful as we've worked through these issues. And I think it's important to emphasize, too, that as we work through these issues, we want to reiterate that nobody's child was ever in danger, nobody's child was ever at risk. No matters like that were at hand. And I do hear the frustration from school community members, and we would hope that you understand that when matters like this are worked through two parties, they're of utmost confidence. There's confidences that cannot be breached, if you will. And it sort of sequesters a board like this with communication efforts, because you can't always communicate on those matters that are to be held in confidence. So I am sympathetic with our two speakers tonight, and Mr. Chair, I'm anticipating we might have more on this issue. So thank you.
Again, we apologize for the lack of our ability to actually discuss the matter. So, do we have any other comments on the severance package, the document that Mr. Peterson has agreed to? Do I have a motion to accept the severance package and the resignation of Mr. Peterson?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? One opposed. The motion carries. We wish you the best, Mr. Peterson. We thank you for what you've done for the school, and we wish you God's blessing in your future endeavors. Number 7, ratification of the mutual termination of lease for the 4035 building. This is a part of the ongoing situation about building our new school. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, but we don't have a lot to bring forward. There's a lot of negotiations going on. We have to get out of the existing leases here, and we have Quest Academy down the street that they want to take over our leases, and we're in negotiation for that. So this agreement to get out of our lease for the 4035 building is something that we've worked out, and if everything else falls in place, we'll be able to do that with the other buildings and go forward. So the bottom line is I don't have an exact date to report at this point, and I can just tell you that we're working on it very, very hard. So do we have any discussion on item number 7? Do I have a motion to accept the ratification of the mutual termination of lease for the 4035 building? And this basically says, if we're able to get Quest in here, that the owners of the 4035 building will release us from our requirements for the lease. I have a motion to accept.
Brenda Flynn, motion to accept.
Jeff Guy, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, at this time, item number 8, consideration of the termination of leases agreement from Quest Academy, presented by myself. Quest is asking us to give up our leases so that they can come in. So we're in the middle of that at this time. We're negotiating, we're getting closer. You know, it's like a domino thing. If we can get all these leases taken care of, then we can go forward. And that's part of the whole process. So I would like to have a resolution, a motion for a resolution to go forward with Quest on a timely basis to allow them to come into the building. So I'm asking for a resolution that the board will approve the negotiation of this type of an agreement with Quest. So there's nothing solid, but it's just to put it out in the open that we are negotiating to have them come in so that we can make. So could I have a motion on that, please?
Mr. Chair, could I just ask a question?
Sure.
My question, so this, in other words, the discussion with Quest would allow the process to move forward, which would put us closer to moving, provided this is rented to Quest. That's what you're asking for permission to do. I understand.
And that's subject to the SPCSA board and all those things.
I'm still looking for a motion. I don't know if anybody else has questions. So I'd make a motion to accept that.
Okay. Second?
Brenda Flynn, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Right now, the financing, we are negotiating for municipal bonds for the financing of our new campus. So that's an ongoing process. So I just wanted to bring that up to date. Again, no dates have been set. The situation on reviewing our credit worthiness. And this brings into question one of the things that was brought up about a lawsuit. Yes, we had a lawsuit, but there was fraud involved. Some of the people that we got involved in with the building, one of the buildings here, created some fraud issues. So they sued us, and we had a court appearance, and we won about 80% of the whole lawsuit, and so that, and the fraud issues now are going to the state for review. So, you know, we didn't think it was proper to be paying some people that committed fraud against us, and so they did what they had to do, and they sued. And so, like I say, we won 80% of that, and that's all public record. And it's not, we weren't trying to hide anything. It was just a cost of doing business. And as you can see, if you look online, Quest Academy has a similar type of issue with their landlords. It seems like some landlords feel that since we're a public entity, that we have an unlimited amount of money from the state. So there are people who have done business with that type of organization can verify that if you're a government, you know, like you've heard of the $2,000 hammers that the Defense Department buys, because they just feel that there's unlimited money. So if you Google Quest Academy versus their landlord, you can see the same type of issue that we had. So that's just an update on our financing. It seems that the municipal bonds will be in place shortly. And we're just working very hard to make that happen because we want a new campus. We have to go forward that way. And the budget to actual was not completed. That's item number 10. The budget to actual was not completed. It's usually done by the 15th of the month. This is the 13th, so we'll obey that to the next meeting. And all the line items are public. I mean, we have to submit a budget to the Charter School Authority. The 15th, April 15th, we have to have a preliminary budget for the next year, and by June 15th, I believe, is that right? June 15th, we have to have the final budget. So that's all public knowledge, and we can give more clarity at the board meetings in the future. So item number 11, acknowledgement and approval of certification of annual immunization requirement to the Nevada State Division of Public and Behavioral Health. Who's going to be outside? Thank you.
Let me just tell you, we are 99.3% compliant at this time. 572 students reported season 4, just due to incomplete catch up and they have been in school. So we will complete those, and then we'll be in.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. And the item number 12, that has not been completed yet. So that'll be moved to the next meeting. And 13, principal's report.
I just want to share with you a few things that are in the works or have already started for the second semester. As you know, we have a small class of seniors, but we do have seniors, and we want to recognize them for graduating, hopefully. We don't have that part of it finished yet, but we have 6 seniors lined up for graduation. We have, just this week, realized that we don't have any dates, and we don't have some things set up. So, graduation pictures are scheduled for January 20th. Here at school, we're using Bartolo Photography. They do all the school photos. And they will bring the tuxedo tops, the drape tops for girls, and allow the students to bring outfits that they want to have their pictures taken in. And we'll use those for the yearbook. And then they'll get a picture package, and parents can review those so they have a graduation picture. We also are talking about with the leadership, teachers, a graduation, probably junior, senior dinner at a restaurant in May sometime, where we can celebrate them completing their high school career. And then we've got a couple of other social events that are in the works, and I'll be more specific with that at the next board meeting. We have, this is another item, we have revamped the choral and band classes after we came back from the break, so that our more advanced students are in choir and in band together in preparation for contests, for concerts, and just to improve their performance ability. And then our younger students who are not of the advanced level are also in their classes together. Just took a few schedule changes and to bring them all together. And I think both teachers as well as the students were appreciative of that. They want to be able to perform together at their level. We're also scheduling several school-wide activities over the next few months. Things that were successful last year, the daddy-daughter dance, a play the drama students are putting together, just so that we keep an activity program in place at least monthly. It's kind of what we're looking at. School-wide testing will begin in March for grades 3 through 11. And another academic item, Mr. Kovach is going to begin meeting with 9th, 10th, and 11th graders next month to review credits and graduation requirements and where they stand in their class towards graduation right now. And that's an annual event, sometimes twice a year, just depends on what the need is, but we'll do that next month. And then at the same time, begin working about post-high school plans, talking to kids about that. We have received the PSAT results for our students just this week. Those came in. We have not had a chance to review them, but we will, and then we will distribute those to students so they know where they stood with PSAT testing this year. And that's where we are right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 14, board member comments and board committee reports. I want to just reemphasize this building situation is like you want to buy a new house and you're out looking for it and you're getting different quotes from financing, looking at different places, and that's how I can equate this whole thing. And I just ask for your patience because that's our goal. I mean, technically, we are ahead of the game in many, many ways, and we just all want to get the right campus so we can solidify our goals and our mission. I want to make it clear there was some concern that I received, some phone calls and some paper that there was concern about our adhering to the Hillsdale Barney Charter School Initiative and the contract that we have with Hillsdale, which has just been renewed. It was renewed January 10th. It's online now, so you can pull it off our website and you can review that, and we will maintain our commitment to doing that. We've been in constant contact with them. I'm a student of a classical education. I went through a grammar school with the Sisters of Charity. I went through high school with the Irish Christian Brothers, and I went through college with the Marianists. And so I used to know a little bit of Latin, but I believe in the concept 100%. And we are dedicated. That's been the vision from day one. That's been the vision and the mission from day one. So we will not move from that point. And I heard someone say that, oh, we're going to go to Common Core. Absolutely not. And a couple of board meetings ago, I mentioned that we would like to get a 9th member on the board, but I made the proviso that I would like that person to be a parent, definitely. That's on the record. And secondly, and most important to me, is that the new board member, who hopefully will be a parent and will have a dedication to the classical model, will also be interested in spending 2 years on the board, learning the board's business and how things are run, and then take my place so that I can get started with this thing called retirement, which I wanted to do a couple of years ago. But because of my grandchildren and the children that I've taken over and feel like I've adopted in this school, we're staying here until. So I'm talking again to all the parents. Hopefully there'll be somebody who says, okay, you know, I can do this. We'd like you to become conversant in more detail with the classical model. We have a lot of teachers here that we're talking to about helping to develop that, and so that we can get more involved. And then have the idea of being on the board for at least 4 years, 2 years to understand what's going on. It takes some time. We developed the wheel here, and then I'd like to retire, and so that's the plan. I'm just re-emphasizing what we said a couple of months ago. So far, that's all I've got. Any other comments? Any other comments from the board?
Mr. Chair, I've got a couple of items. I heard, and I anticipate we'll have some more public comment tonight. I would suggest that we as a board, because this is not the first time I've heard this communication issue, and the failure, the perception of the board and the failure to communicate, I would suggest that we as board members have a monthly meeting with non-quorum, not a quorum of the board, maybe 2 or 3 of us, monthly, and hear from the school community, from the parents, from the teachers, kids, I suppose, if they'd like to come. And I'd ask that we charge Mrs. Levitt with working with us to figure out a configuration how we could do that. I don't know if my colleagues would be amenable to that. I would. I know that's more of a time commitment. But I think that's very important, because this is a reoccurring theme that I keep hearing, and I'd like us to discuss that and see how we could do that. And maybe staff could be available to capture some of the comments that come about if we collectively agree to such a process. And the second thing I would say is I certainly understand how school communities feel when there's a displacement of administration. I work in the business, and I am in the role I have in my day job. Part of my role is to reassign building principals in the school district, and I understand the feelings and the angst and the anxiety that comes about from that. So I don't want anybody to think, at least myself, and I know I can speak collectively for the board, is discounting that feeling. I get that, and I know how probably many of you in the audience feel, and those of you that work, especially at the school as well. And I'm certainly sympathetic, and I have empathy to that. And I think, Mr. Chair, we should discuss the first suggestion, because we should not have this division between this board, this body, and the school, the greater school community. And I think that could be at least a step forward, where we're connected, that's not in a formal setting like this, and can just have dialogue with a in a setting where we don't have to have, it's not a quorum.
I agree 100%. And for those of you who don't know Dr. Geis, he's in charge of the turnaround district. So the worst schools in the Clark County School District, he's in charge of turning them around. And we met about 6 years ago. And I thought that with his knowledge of, he's basically an assistant superintendent for CCSD. So with his knowledge of all the pitfalls of opening up a school and maintaining making sure that we adhere to all the laws, compliance issues, I talked to him about joining the board, and then he said he'd absolutely love to get on board, and then we started talking about the classical model, and he's been very excited about it. He actually had a couple of his teachers take some training with the Riggs program. They went to someplace back east at one of the schools, and they went through the program. So this is part of our mission. Our goal is that not only do we take care of the kids in our class, in our school, but we want to reach out to the community. So by having Dr. Geis on our board, he sees the real value of getting back to the basics in the classical model. And so we want to improve the whole community, not just our school. So that's a big asset to us. And so I really appreciate Dr. Geis's involvement with the board, and I think it's an excellent idea. So, as you know, the open meeting law is very difficult. That's part of the issue that we had without, we have to have, if we have a quorum, and we're very cautious about meeting, and because if we have more than 4, then we get into a technical possibility of a violation. So I think that's a great idea. So we'll move on with that with your help, please. So maybe we could get some representatives from the teacher. It might be Dr. Ayton as a teacher.
Mr. Chair, I would just say that we alternate between, in a non-quorum circumstance, we alternate monthly, and whoever, just open it up. Yeah. Whoever wants to come, comes. I would not say the teachers have to elect a representative. If they all want to come, they come. And we hear what they have to say, and if Mrs. Levitt could provide some staff to just make sure we capture it for us, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, to set some days and just work with our schedules and so forth, and plan it out and advertise it accordingly so people know and they come.
Great idea.
I don't know how you guys are. I'm on board.
Okay, any other board comments? Okay, we'll open it up to public comments. Again, 3 minutes, please.
Mrs. Linhart this evening would like to speak first. Did anyone else want to submit a card to speak?
And I know that this school wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Mr. Marino. And I wouldn't be teaching here if it wasn't for Mrs. Levitt, who hired me. And I don't like change. When Mrs. Levitt was principal and I heard this new person was going to come and everything, I was like, what? Because she's fantastic. But we were kind of told that they were both going to be here for the year, and that would be great. And I got to know him, and I was very happy with him, and I felt comfortable when Mrs. Levitt decided to go back into retirement. Now, I think that it was handled poorly, the announcement. Something that serious, I think there should have been more than one board member. And I think I don't need to know anything about why anymore, but I do want to say some things positive about Mr. Peterson and my experience. And one thing I wanted to say too was that the Barney Charter School Initiative, on their front page, when they do a principal candidate search, and it says that the principal should be able to describe to somebody in an elevator in 20 seconds what classical education is. And then they should also be able to spend 20 minutes in front of a group such as this, explaining what classical education is. I've been studying this for a long time, a lot of years now, and I can't do that very well. Mr. Peterson could, and he did a lot of things. He mentored the teachers. He, one night the Hillsdale had an open town hall meeting that you could call in, and I was staying late waiting for my kids, and he came in and said, are you listening? And I said, yeah, and he showed me that you could put your phone in a bowl, metal bowl, and so you could hear it better. And we listened for a half an hour to the Hillsdale Town Hall meeting. And he did a lot of things with the teachers and mentored us and just inspired us. And so that's how I want to leave it. And I want you to know that we do need people like that. And I think we're understaffed. I think I checked it out, and every other Barney Charter school has a vice principal, and most of them, if not all, have an assistant. The vice principal has an assistant. So I think that we need maybe some more support staff in this school. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Swinson.
Mr. Swinton, I teach art here at Founders, and Mrs. Levitt stole my first comment, so I just wanted to say some positive things that are happening in the school. She mentioned that they restructured the 8th grade classes so that band and choir could have their first-year students in a class in second year, and that's a positive thing. And also a yearbook class was created second semester. Prior to this, the students were working once or twice a week after school to try to create a yearbook, and that's a great monumental task. With this new class, they can go every day, and so with the amount of work that they have to prepare that yearbook, it's going to be much better. I've noticed expressions of relief and gratitude on their faces of the yearbook staff since the class was created. And although I will greatly miss having these excellent students in my classroom for their elective credit, it's worth it to see their smiles broaden and appear more frequently in their faces. And that's what I wanted to say, something positive today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Emily, did you want to speak?
Not very good at public speaking, so
No problem.
just bear with me. I am a parent of a second grade son who has a lot of energy, and I'm really appreciative of the school and the staff that we have here. However, there is a massive communication issue, and I, as a parent who can't be at the school all the time, am frustrated by hearing things from other people as a gossip line. It's like something came out of the board, or the school faculty, and got said to one parent, and got said to another parent, and got said to another parent, and 2 weeks later, how did you know about that? I haven't heard anything about this. I want to be informed about the lawsuits. I want to be informed about where our lease stands, and when we are going to be doing other things. And even if it's just minor things, if you can let us as parents know, that would be amazing. I also want to be informed about the good things that are going on in our school. I don't want to hear it from a Facebook page. I want the faculty and the staff and the board to talk about these improvements that Mr. Swenson just mentioned. I had no idea that any of that was going on. So, you know, we're all adults here, and I think that in this case, you know, my husband's overseas, and he called me immediately when that letter came out. And he said, what is going on? And I said, babe, I don't have any issue. I don't have any more information for you. When we got home that day, my child told me, Mr. Peterson's going to be fired. Now, why is my second grade child telling me that Mr. Peterson's going to be fired when that wasn't said in the letter? That is the gossip and the frustration that we as parents are feeling, and the lack of communication. I love this school. I love the ability to take 20 minutes out of my day, every single day, both ways, to drive my son to go to the school when I could walk less than a mile to the school at my house. We chose this school because of the education and because of the standards that you had said that we were going to be setting. And I think that we're there, and I know we're going to have growing pains, but I just wish, and I appreciate your idea about the forum monthly for parents like me that can't be at school on a regular basis. That would be really nice. I just think we need to be very careful about, as a board and as a faculty, who we're talking to, and if we're saying something to one parent, then it needs to be said to every parent, because that does trickle down. It's just, I mean, it's like a telephone line, basically. And it's really frustrating when you hear about it a couple weeks after something happened, and you think, well, you know, that would have been nice to have a little memo blasted out to the parents. Or, you know, even with the lease thing, if we were in a lawsuit and it is a fraudulent thing and whatever, and we're still continuing, that would have been something that I shouldn't have to Google search to find out about. I want to know about it as a parent and know that my board, who I trust very much and I appreciate your time, is taking the matters seriously, and they're not covering it up or they're not keeping it quiet to themselves because they're worried about what it'll feel like to the parents. We just want more communication. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure if my husband was going to speak, but I will. My name is Marianne Widener, and I thank you for allowing me to speak with you tonight. I just wanted to say a little bit about, we've been here from the inaugural year to now with my two daughters. They're now in 5th and 6th grade. And I know that we had a big undertaking the first year, trying to get everything online, and I know Mrs. Levitt had a huge job hiring all the teachers and just getting everything into play, and it was a rough first year. It was a rough first year for our family, and there were things that weren't exactly what we had thought they were going to be, or we had hoped that they were going to be, not things that we had talked about and we had been told about. But I understood it was the inaugural year, and it was going to take us time to get to where we needed to go. And so the vision that this board had, that I didn't get to hear directly from you, but I heard from the teachers, and I heard from Mrs. Levitt, and heard from the various people that I spoke with, excuse me, is what I wanted for my kids. I want to be able to have my girls go all the way through. I want them to be a part of that senior class, and it won't be 6 kids by the time they get there. It'll be 30 or 60 kids by the time they get there, or maybe more. And I want to see the school succeed, because I believe in the vision of this school. I too, when I found out that Mrs. Levitt was leaving, and we were getting a new principal, and he came in with his ideas, was, you know, it's another change. You know, we've just been through a whole year of change, now we got another change. Where are we going to go? But I will tell you, Mr. Peterson had a meeting with the parents within the first few weeks of him being here, and when I say first few weeks, when he actually took over, you know, when Mrs. Levitt had already retired. And he gave a vision for what the school was really, where he wanted to take the school, where he saw the school going. He made me passionate about this school. He made me believe in this school and really believe that that was where we were going to go. The things that I wanted from the beginning were really starting to happen and materialize, and that's what I feel like has happened over the past 2 years. And I've been encouraged by many things, and I just wanted to say the positive things that Mr. Peterson has done. I see him out front at least 2 to 3 times a week greeting the kids as they're coming in from school. I love that. I love that their principal is out there talking to them, seeing them, shaking their hand, saying hi to them. It's great. And as you think of who you're going to have in the future, I hope that you will take that into consideration when you're hiring somebody, that they're going to be face-to-face with the students, and the students are going to know them. They're not going to be somebody behind closed doors that they're afraid to go see because they're in trouble. He's somebody that, or she's going to be somebody that they can relate to as you think about that. I also want to say that Mr. Peterson was in constant contact. I hate text. I hate group text. I hate them coming through 1,000 times a day, and I get them all the time from their teachers and from him. But as much as I hate them just because I don't like the technology so much, I love it because I know what's going on. And I felt that in that aspect, I was very well communicated with. So I just want to say those positive things and just say that as the board is thinking about the future of the school, thinking about who they're going to have come in as being the permanent principal and perhaps even vice principal in the future, that they will consider those things and incorporate those into their ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah Alonso.
So I don't like public speaking to begin with, and I have a baby sleeping on my back, so bear with me.
We'll be quiet.
I wanted to thank Mr. Peterson. My son is a 3rd grader. I also have a kindergartner. And my son and I were looking for a new pet a couple of months ago. And my son saw the dogs in the shelter and they were sleeping on the cold ground. And so he approached Mr. Peterson and set up a meeting to come in and meet with him. And my son organized a blanket and towel drive for the pets. And Mr. Peterson treated my son with the utmost respect. And my son bawled when he found out that Mr. Peterson was leaving. And he told me that it was the first time that somebody had really treated him like a grown-up. And also my daughter, he brought in a goodie bag for her birthday, which he did for all of the students, but my daughter won't touch anything in the goodie bag because it's from Mr. Peterson. And all my kids just felt very special because of him, so. Yeah.
My name is May McGinnis. I was brought here under a lot of concern. I've heard tons of rumors flying. I came to the school because Richard had a meeting specifically one-on-one with me, had me totally hooked, line, and sinker on the school. So I brought Tegan to the school. I've been pretty much happy with it, but there's some issues as the accreditation of everything, and I know you have to keep stuff private for whatever reason, I don't know, but my main concern is, yeah, Mr. Peterson's leaving. Why? We've heard all these excuses. I've heard it's paperwork. Well, what kind of paperwork? Is he not accredited? Is he not licensed in the state? Is he not what? Nobody's giving us a specific answer. It's just he's leaving. When you brought up the Quest thing in a timely manner, what is that timely manner? Is it May when school's out? Then we're without a school. So yeah, there's a lot of questions I have, and I'm very concerned. I hope that the timely manner doesn't put us out on the parking lot trying to do school. And I guess that's about all I have to say.
Camille Gable.
My name is Camille Gable. I have 2 students here. I also happen to be an alumni of Hillsdale College. So I know very well what we're trying to do here. And I'm beyond frustrated. I have very grave concerns about this board. I believe that every single member on here has a personal connection to Mr. Moreno. I think we have a new member. I never saw anything in your newsletter about electing a new member. I think that happened in October. I've read the charter. I also happen to have a law degree. I just feel this board is not following the charter as set forth. At least what's on the internet. I don't know if that's the official word or not. I'm also concerned that there's not a second parent member on here. I know you said you want one. I'd be happy to fill that role. And I'd like to see the board work on that immediately. I mean, it can't really be put off any longer. I thank you, Mr. Fowler, for being on here. I thank you for speaking up for the parents. I'm concerned about the lack of discussion. This is my first board meeting, but I sat here basically hearing number 5, yes, yes, done. Number 6, yes, yes, done. So it comes across as a bunch of yes men. It comes across as a bunch of people who have already made decisions and are just here to basically go through the motions. I understand it's open meeting laws. I can totally appreciate that. I thank you, Dr. Geiser, for your suggestion to get together and meet, because there's just a huge communication problem. Dr. Eaton hit the nail on the head. There's a huge concern amongst parents, amongst staff, anyone involved with the school. And there are certain things that can't be said, but having open discussion, having board members be available, having emails for board members, anything that you can do to provide more communication would be exceptionally helpful. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm John Quant. I'm a teacher here at F.A.L.V. This is my second year. I teach 9th and 10th grade literature classes, the classic and British literature, and also the middle and high school Latin. I have 2 daughters that attend here. I love the school. I second everything Mrs. Lenhart has said about what it offers our children. I love being a part of this community. I'm so thankful to be here. I've loved working under Mr. Peterson. I'm thrilled to be working under Ms. Levitt. And I also second what others have said, that there is a communication problem. And just by me, one example. I was told this morning by one of our facilities people about this meeting tonight. There's been no email. I'm unaware of any of the high school teachers who knew prior than today. I talked with Mr. Mullen, who teaches history. He did not know about this meeting before this morning. I talked with Mr. Murray, my other colleague who teaches the 7th, 8th, and 12th grade literature. He was not told until this morning. That in itself is frustrating. Whatever your reasons for the situation with Mr. Peterson, I too, as a parent and a staff, would love to know more. It's hard teaching the 10th graders. We're finishing up Hamlet now, and at the beginning of the play, no one else can understand why Hamlet is so troubled. His father has died, his mother has turned around and remarried his uncle, no one is talking about anything, and the madness that he undergoes, I have felt, and I know that at least 7 or 8 fellow staff that I've talked with have felt. There are things you can't say, but saying what you can. I can't say much more than that. I appreciate the hard work you do. I appreciate the hours you volunteer and put in there. Mr. Peterson has been like a mentor and a father to me and many others. And one of my daughters who attends here asked me today where he was. She hadn't seen him in a while. And I haven't answered that question yet. I'll have to this weekend, and I don't look forward to it. Because I know that throughout last year, she told me that Mr. Peterson was her best friend at school. Not many people say that about their principal. Sorry to be burning my own time here. But I second what Dr. Ayton has said. I think he's nailed it on the head. And I also want to repeat what Mrs. Lenhart said. Look carefully. Whoever you find as the next person, you'll never get all the gifts at once. In the Iliad, we get that same line from Nestor, the oldest man fighting. You can have your youth, you can have your wisdom. He says the gods don't give us all their gifts at once. There's always trade-offs. Whatever we're going to have, it'll never be perfect. You can have youth and strength, you can have old age and wisdom, you can have this, you can have that. We'll never have it all. We'll never have perfection. And whether it's Mrs. Levitt or Mr. Peterson, I'm grateful for what we've had so far. And I hope the best for that search. Thank you.
All right, we have one final speaker this evening.
I believe there were several of you at Constitution Day, and you heard me say that I left my country and I put my hand on my heart here in this country for freedom of speech, and that I will never surrender. I have to tell you that my husband is not a perfect man, as none of us are perfect. With mistakes comes correction. With correction comes progression. With death comes perfection. And only with death. God doesn't always shut doors, but I do know that God always opens doors when you seek Him. We did not seek out this school. God uses different people, and He used Miss Moreno. And the school came to us. We didn't come here for a big paycheck. In fact, we took a big pay cut to come here. And once again, I gave up my home. because I submitted to my husband's decision to come here. My husband loves this school. And my husband loves This was not his choice by any means. However, as I said, God doesn't always close doors. Doors get closed other ways. But I do know this. God is bigger than anything on this earth. I do not have the finances to get home. But you know, lately I ask myself, what is home? And home is where God is. It's not here. I have no animosity. I thank God for the time that He's given us to meet the wonderful people here, the students, the teachers. And I cannot wait to see how God works. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for all of your heartfelt comments, and we appreciate those who have come up and speak. Okay, the next item will be discussion of the next meeting scheduled for March 16th. Do we have any comments on that? So, go ahead.
With the items that we were able to discuss tonight, I think we should forward from March a little bit.
Okay.
We could do a board meeting before ourselves.
Do you have a date? Okay, so we'll just put this on. What are you recommending?
I would say probably the 1 month from now, first of February.
16th. What day is that?
Thursday.
You said March. February 16th? Okay.
March on here. No, but she has to move it. February 6th.
Okay, do we have a motion for that?
Change your meeting to February 16th. I'll second.
All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adjourn? 6 o'clock on Thursday?
I know I missed telecom, but we've been having board meetings since we started the school, and I'm grateful for all of you that came tonight. I hope this wasn't a one-time occurrence. The amount of people that are here tonight equals the amount of people that we've had total in all of our board meetings over the last 3+ years. It means a lot to me as a parent, and as a parent of a son, and a former spouse of a teacher that was here.
Wait, former spouse? They're still married, no rumors.
But it means a lot. We need this type of support. I want to see all of you guys next month, and more. And yes, communication needs to be better. And I've been fighting for that for several months, that we put out in the mailers that go out for the weekly memos from the principal's notes. You as faculty, as parents, need to know when these meetings are. There should be no excuse for you not to be here, for you to be involved, because we know that you all want to be involved. That's why you take your kids here every day and pick them up. That's why we do. It's like, you mentioned that you drive 20 minutes every day both ways. We do the same thing because we love the school for what it stands for. And if you're not here, your voices aren't being heard. I loved hearing your guys' voices tonight, and we need more of that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just add one thing. These meetings have to be posted 72 hours in advance, and they're posted in the front of the building and on our website. And there's in the agendas you'll see the other places that they are posted.
Can you add it to the text that they send out all the time? So you just send out a text saying there's a board meeting tonight?
We're going to be doing working. We can't answer direct questions, so
we can try.
Where was the lawyer here? But that's part of these meetings that Dr. Geis has talked about that we'll be doing there. So, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor? Good night. Good night. Thank you very much.